The MLS has a wide variety of green fields available. These fields can help a seller market these features of a property and can help a buyer search for properties that have a variety of green features. So let's spend a little bit of time exploring why these green fields are important and how they are used. Starting with the green market in Florida. Florida is actually the third largest state for green homes. Green features can be a huge selling point of a home. Even if a buyer does not necessarily know to look for a home with a green certification, they often ask about things like HVAC size or the type of lighting, if there's a time thermostat, the type of insulation or windows, especially as energy costs continue to become a proportionately higher expense for homeowners. Green features can increase the appraised value of a home, but only if they are properly documented. For areas with a lot of international buyers, buyers from certain countries often do look for green certifications. So there is definitely a market for homes with green features. Now it's just a matter of properly documenting and searching for these in the MLS. In terms of green features and property values, the Appraisal Institute, which is a professional development association for appraisers, has recently developed a green addendum for residential appraisers. However, in order for an appraiser to give value to any type of green feature, they have to be able to show that that feature does impact value of the property. And that greatly relies on agents to make sure to indicate these green features in their listings. In terms of some green developments in this MLS's coverage area, Lakewood Ranch is actually the largest green certified community in the nation. About half the community is set aside as open space. There are over 150 miles of trails, and there are over 21 sustainable home builders. In Babcock Ranch, a newer community in southwest Florida, around Charlotte and Lee counties, this community is being designed from the ground up, incorporating green building techniques, especially solar power, clean technology, and smart innovation. This is going to be an energy self-contained community powered by its own solar plant. This is going to be one of the first large-scale communities in the U.S. fully powered by renewable energy. In the Villages, there is a development called Green Key Village, where all the homes are net zero, and each home has FGBC certification. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. So as you can see, several developments in our area are popping up that extensively have these green features. In 2017, the National Association of Realtors published a sustainability report, and they're in the process of coming up with a new report in 2019. This report found several items of note. First of all, 71% of the agents who responded said that energy efficiency promotion in listings was very or somewhat valuable. 61% of respondents found that their customers were at least somewhat interested in sustainability. A majority of agents and brokers who responded to this report said that energy efficiency promotion in listings was very or somewhat valuable. And a few of the features that were found important included efficient lighting, green community features, landscaping for water conservation, and renewable energy systems. So now that we see how these features are becoming increasingly important for valuing properties, for sellers, and for buyers, let's talk about the green fields in the MLS and what these fields mean. So first of all, we have a field about building verification type and green verification. This is where any type of green certification can be indicated. Notice that this field is a drop-down menu, but however, this is a table. Multiple certifications can be selected by clicking the More button. So you can add as many verifications as a property has. Now, if a verification type is selected, then the status, year, and source are going to be required. There are several additional optional fields. For each verification type, there are several other fields available for you to indicate items about this verification, about this property. Status refers to complete or in progress. So for example, a home that's under construction may not have the verification yet, but is going through the process. Year is the year that the certification was awarded. For version, certain certifications have multiple versions. One example of this could be Energy Star, where every few years a new version of the certification comes out. The body is the body that gives the certification. For example, the LEED for Home certification is from the United States Green Building Council, or USGBC. Metric is going to be a numeric rating, which certain certifications have. For example, for a HERS index score, there will actually be a metric, a number that's reported, and if you select the HERS index score as a verification type, you'll have to actually give that metric, where rating might be another type of rating. For example, for LEED for Homes, you have silver, gold, and platinum ratings. You're going to have to give the source of the building verification type. Is this from the builder, from public records, from the program verifier, from the owner's documentation? And you also have a place to give a URL. For certain certifications, the certification entity's website might actually have a specific URL to that property's certification. So once again, the status, year, and source will be required. However, these other subfields will be optional. However, this gives you a great opportunity to report these items for a listing. You can keep on pressing more to add additional verifications. Let's talk a little bit about what green certifications are and what these mean. Basically, there are various independent certification agencies. And to obtain a green certification, there's a fairly rigorous process that property must go through. Some of these certifications are nationally recognized, where others might be more specific to our local Florida market. There is an entity called the American National Standards Institute that certifies some of these programs. Homes can lose a green certification. For example, if additions are made that do not meet the requirements of the program, the home might actually lose their certification. And most certifications are based on a variety of factors that might include things like energy efficiency, water efficiency, site considerations, a healthy indoor environment, sustainable building materials, and disaster mitigation. As we go through some of the other green fields, you'll notice that most of the other green fields do correspond to these categories and to the items that, for the most part, go into a green certification. In terms of metrics versus ratings, so when you are filling out this table, when you choose a verification type, sometimes you're asked for a metric, sometimes you're asked for a rating. Here is a table that talks to you a little bit about the difference. So some certifications actually have a rating, maybe something like silver, gold, platinum. And a good parallel to this is if you go to the grocery store and you have food that is marked as either organic or contains organic ingredients. A metric, on the other hand, is a specific number. For example, a HERS index score is a metric. That is similar to going to the grocery store and actually looking at a calorie count for an item of food. And you have other items, other certifications, that just have some sort of title, no metric, no rating. That's the equivalent of buying a bag of reduced fat Oreos. So that's the difference between a metric and a rating, and different certifications might provide one or the other or neither. A few of the common green certifications in our market could include the Florida Green Building Certification, or FGBC. Many homes in Lakewood Ranch, in the Villages, and other parts of our coverage area, FGBC might be one of the more common certification entities. FGBC does have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum ratings. This is very widely used in Florida as the standards are designed for our hot and humid climate. This is not nationally recognized. This is a rating specific to Florida. LEED for homes, on the other hand, is through the U.S. Green Building Council. This is, in fact, nationally recognized, and they have silver, gold, and platinum ratings or levels. The National Association of Home Builders has a green building program. This tends to be lower cost than some of the other programs. It is nationally recognized. However, this is not as widely used in Florida, as there might be some homes. However, there might be some homes with the certification in our coverage area. The HERS index score, that's another option under that verification table. This is going to be an actual numeric score, and it talks about the energy efficiency of a home. Florida code will be a HERS index score of 80. That's just the basic Florida code for newer homes built. Older homes might have a higher score. A higher score might use more energy. A net zero home would have a HERS index score of 0. And these are homes that produce as much energy as it consumes. A negative HERS score might mean that home is actually producing more energy than it consumes and is feeding energy back into the grid. There are several vendors that will conduct a HERS evaluation. If you do select a green certification, if you do select one of these building verification types, you must upload proof of the certification. So here's an example of a certificate for FGBC, for a Florida Green Building Certified home. You would upload that as an attachment to the listing. So that talks to you a little bit about green certifications, but remember that green certifications might include items such as green energy features, water conservation, sustainable building materials, disaster mitigation. So there are several other fields in the MLS that talk about those various categories or those various parts of green certification. One field that is new to the MLS is called green sustainability. And these are just very general items talking about sustainable building materials. This property used renewable materials or regionally sourced materials or recyclable materials. The green generation and green energy fields talks about either green energy generation, such as solar power or wind power, or green energy features, such as energy-efficient HVAC systems, or insulation, or lighting, or appliances. And remember from that buyer survey that the National Association of Realtors put out, lighting and insulation and even thermostats, those are all things that many buyers are looking for. The green water field talks about water conservation features, such as drip irrigation or low-flow fixtures. The green landscaping field talks about the types of landscaping that might be used that help with water conservation or minimal use of pesticides. For example, a home might have Florida native landscaping, which would require less pesticides and less water. Xeriscaped homes require little to no irrigation, or xeriscaped lawns require very little, if any, irrigation. Also note that under the green verification field, there are actually certifications for a Florida certified lawn or Florida friendly landscaping. That is different than just saying that a home has this. So if there's actually a certification for this, that will be entered under green verification. If you're simply saying that the home uses Florida native landscaping, that would go under the green landscaping field. Or this might go under both fields. The indoor air quality field talks about various things to assist with the air quality of the home, such as a whole house vacuum system or sealed combustion. That is also a part of many green certifications in terms of the indoor air quality. The disaster mitigation field talks about things like having a safe room or hurricane shutters or smoke detection. A lot of these features, especially things like above floodplain or hurricane shutters, are going to become increasingly important. So now that we talked about the various green features that you can enter into a listing, how would you search for these green features. First of all, if you go to the detailed search form in the MLS for any type of property, especially for residential property, under the detail search form, we already have a lot of these features built in. Green energy features, green water features, green landscaping, indoor air quality, green certifications. Also note that even though the way how you enter a green certification has changed, the way how you search for a green certification is staying the same. You would use the green certification field. If you use one of the quick search forms, you can then scroll at the bottom of the form, go to where it says additional fields. You can add or remove a field, and you can actually add in any of these green fields to use in your search. So we talked about how you could enter green fields or green features of a home. We talked about how you can search for green features of a home. We talked about why these features are important. So where can an agent go to learn more? First of all, note that in the help bubbles in the MLS, we do give definitions of many of these fields and features. For example, I'm entering a listing. When I come to the green energy generation section, if I click that help bubble, I have the definitions of hydropower, solar, and wind. And this is consistent across many of the fields. There is also a very good booklet that was put out by the U.S. Department of Energy in conjunction with the National Association of Realtors, the Council of Multiple Listing Services, and the Real Estate Standards Organization. It's called the Home Energy Information Guide. The hyperlink is on the screen if you want to take a picture of the screen, but also if you just Google U.S. Department of Energy Home Energy Information Guide, the link will most likely pop up in your browser. But this is an excellent source that talks about the different green certifications, why they're important, what they mean, how they're measured, and could definitely help a real estate agent who is looking to learn more about this. The National Association of Realtors has a Green Council, and they publish all sorts of resources. If you just go to greenresourcecouncil.org, you can find those. There's also a green designation from the National Association of Realtors. If you want to learn more about green communities in Florida, just Google green communities in Florida, or you can go to the hyperlink on the screen as well. Greencommunities.com, that pulls up green communities nationwide. You can drill down to Florida. Florida Realtors News recently put out 2 excellent articles on green features. One was called, Are Green Features Valued Enough in List Prices? And another was called, What Does I Want a Green Home actually mean? If you Google any of those titles, if you say Florida Realtors and then the title, you most likely will be able to quickly find that article. I also gave you the direct links below if you want to take a picture of your screen. I'll give you a few moments to look at those resources and take a picture before we talk about a few other trends that might be impacting green real estate. So a few other things that have been receiving some press lately. There's been articles about all of these items in the recent months, but one is the increasing importance of things like community gardens and community farms. There was even one article saying that now millennial buyers are so much stating preferences for these community gardens and farms that in some parts of the country, golf courses are being replaced by these. It hasn't quite hit Florida yet, but it's a trend to watch. Solar becoming more financially feasible, where in the past solar powers were a lot more expensive. It took a lot longer to get a return on the investment. That is now starting to change, and solar is becoming a lot more popular. Driverless and electric cars are changing how communities are being designed, and driverless cars and driverless services might eventually change the demand for things like a garage. Brownfield developments, where polluted land is being cleaned up and then developed. That's happening all over Florida. And especially as we've had some active hurricane seasons in recent years, rising sea levels, hurricanes, this is all getting much more attention from buyers. There are several new startups that are coming out with new ways to measure risk of climate change and rising sea levels for certain properties. So there's been a lot of press about that lately, and I imagine that will continue to occur. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little more about the green fields of the MLS. And keep in mind, it is very important that if you list a property that has green features, to indicate it. Appraisers need that data to attribute value to green features, and many buyers are looking for those features. If you work with a buyer, just know that we do have several fields available to help search for those green features as well.